Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and indeed welcome back to me. If you've been following Wordle in a Minute or the Times Crossword Masterclass from yesterday, you may be aware that I've taken a few days holiday. As with Mrs. Bennett, the theory was that a few days of sea bathing would set me up forever. I was on the Mediterranean. It was beautiful. It makes today's puzzle title remarkably appropriate, a dot of killer heat. But we're not featuring that puzzle today because I've been on holiday. We're featuring it because Chip Sounder created it to commemorate his father's passing 11 years ago today. His father, Bert, at the age of 62, left us, and Chip has created a dot of killer heat to commemorate that, and we'll have a go at this. It's very approachable apparently, so do get ready. If you only have a go at the puzzles when they're of a doable difficulty level or length, this may be your day to get involved. Please try the puzzle. I haven't tried it, but that's what I'm hearing, and it's basically an 8x8 thermo killer with a couple of dots, a dot of killer heat, I suppose. But anyway, we'll look at that in a moment. Really looking forward to doing that. Do check out the Crossword Masterclass video. I know this is midsummer, the weekends are long. For those of us who like sport, there's a lot of that on, and actually I say well done the Lionesses. What an extraordinary match they were involved in. But also, let's be aware that Sudoku may not be everybody's top priority. A shame always, but there we go. Sometimes that is true. But do have a look at this puzzle when you get the chance. That's what I would say. And give it a try. I've no idea what we're going to come up against. Now, of course, we are nearly out of time on the Patreon reward, which is the regeneration, the flatworms. I'm also going to warn you that the solution videos may be not immediately available, but they will be by the end of the month because I haven't done them yet. And that's still on Patreon, where you can find the rewards at the beginning of every month. We've also, of course, got other stuff on there like crosswords and connections, and we'd love you to join us on Patreon. We'd love you to try our apps. They do feature the latest Sudoku worms from James Sinclair and Marty Sears, and they're brilliant. More coming soon. We've also got, well, we've got Killer Sudoku, we've got Thermo Sudoku, Domino Sudoku, so loads going on the apps. SVEN'S SUDOKU PAD is linked under the video, but the first link is to this puzzle. Oh, by the way, Simon talked in his intro yesterday about a puzzle from the Galactic Puzzle Hunt, which featured an incredibly high number, clearly not impossibly high number, but impossible to actually delineate that number, and yet it was used in the puzzle. It was really interesting. The link to that is now in his video from yesterday, so do check that out. Actually, I'll put it in the video, in this video today, just below the rules to Chip's puzzle. But let's have a look at a dot of killer heat by Chip Sounder. So, because it's 8x8, we can't quite say normal Sudoku rules apply. We're going to place each of the digits from 1 to 8 in every row, every column, and every 2x4 box. Digits along a thermometer increase from the bulb to the end, and digits cannot repeat in a cage. If a number's shown, that's the sum of the cage. No number for that one, but this one adds up to 10. Digits separated by a black dot, there's just one of those, have a ratio of 1 to 2. Digits separated by a white dot, there's just one of those. Are consecutive, normal rules, one would say, for an 8x8. Give it a try if you fancy it, and you should. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. Let us see how we go. So, with these thermos and this length, it is quite tempting to just Goodliffe the heck out of them and put all the candidates down. Right, let's start with the black dot beginner. because this digit can't go above 5 given the length of the thermo. If that was a 5, you'd have to put 6, 7, 8, and we're only going as high as 8 in this puzzle. It can't be a 5 because it's on a black dot, so that is a 4 or a 2. Can't be a 3 since it's connecting to a lower digit because of the thermo that is divisible by 2 because of the black dot. So we've got a 1 or a 2 there, 2 or 4 here. Hasn't really changed the possibilities along the rest of the thermo, which begin with 3 here. I am going to pencil mark these because my excuse is that these are 5-cell thermos and therefore somewhat restricted, at least in terms of how many digits could be in each cell. The other thing I'm going to observe about the perimeter thermos, I hadn't observed, but I do now, that the thermos in this puzzle are fully symmetrical rotationally. But anyway, and more than that for the perimeters. But if you think about where 1 goes in row 1, it must be in a bulb. Basically, it's a good rule of thumb that 1, if it's on a thermo, is on the bulb. And given that we're in an 8 by 8 puzzle and 8 is the maximum digit, if 8 is on a thermo, it's on the tip. So the 8, yes, that is interesting. Right, I was going to observe that the ones for which the same principle applies in row 1 and row 8 form a sort of X-wing. The one in row 1 must be in a corner, and the one in row 8 must be in a corner, so the 2 ones must be in opposite corners. Actually, that's a very simple explanation of the X-wing just because of the setup of this puzzle. It's quite easy to understand that once you've used the 1 in row 1 and the 1 in row 8, you've used up the ones in row 1 and row 8, and therefore those 2 ones are also the 2 ones for column 1 and column 8. Anyway, the good thing that we get out of this is actually thinking about 8s and an X-wing on 8s, which is a little less blindingly obvious, but 8 must be on a tip in row 1, 8 must be on a tip in row 8, and that is going to use up the 2 8s for columns 4 and 5, and that is going to mean that these 2 thermos, all of these cells cannot contain 8 because there's already 2 8s in those columns there and there. I don't know whether they're there or there, and that's why it's called an X-wing, because you can join up these 2 possibilities and make an X. But they're not here, so those aren't 8s, and that feeds back along the thermos. Those aren't 7s, those aren't 6s. On this one, that's not 5 and that's not 4. And it may not have completely finished the puzzle, but it's interesting, I think. Now, this can't be a 2-8 pair in the 10 cage because 8s are proscribed from this column, apart from there and there. So it's either 3-7 or 4-6. If it was 4-6, we would know that was a 5 and that was a 7. And that won't work. That won't work for a very interesting reason. I don't know, maybe I'm not approaching this in the most approachable way, but I like this deduction. So I was considering that that 10 cage could be a 4-6 pair, and that would force this digit to be a 5, perfectly possible, and this one to be a 7, more than possible. However, that would leave these remaining digits to be a mix of 1, 2, 3, and 8. Can you see the problem with that? The problem with that occurs on the tip that is not 8, because suddenly that has to be 1, 2, or 3. And how can 1, 2, or 3 be in the 4th position on a thermo? It cannot. So that is not what is going on. This is not a 4-6 pair. This is a 3-7 pair. That can't be a 7. That's the first conclusion. And that runs up. Oh, that runs up all the way to here on the thermo. Once that's 3 or 4, this now has to be 2. And that's a 1. And we've got digits in the puzzle after less than 5 minutes. Now, what I was going to say about this column is that I'm hoping, yes, where do 1 and 2 go in the column? That is the simple question. They don't go on the tips of 4-cell thermos, so they must go in these 2 cells, and this one now can't be 2, so that's 1 and that's 2. 3's in the cage. I suppose 4 could be there. That hasn't been ruled out. Otherwise, it's going to be... okay. I'll tell you why 4 is not in one of these cells. And this is quite neat as well. So imagine this was a 4. This thermo would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And what would that push across to the other side? It would push across 5, 6, 7, 8. But a 5 in the bulb would force the other tail of the thermo to be 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you'd get a clash of 6s in the same box. And that would happen wherever you put 4 here. If you were able to put it there with 1, 2, 3, 4 here, you'd get 5, 6, 7, 8 there, and the clash of the 6s up here. So 4 cannot be in a thermo tip after all. And in the column, that must be 4. And now we can trace back the digits to the bulb of that 5-cell thermo. This is very neat, if I may say so. Now, I think what we've learned is that 4 is never on the tip of a thermo. Would that apply with the downs? Actually, let me just figure that out. If that was 4, 3, 2, 1, this would be 5, 6, 7, 8, and that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, and you'd have a clash of 6s, yes. These thermo tips basically begin at 5. They can't be less than 5. I don't quite know what... Is it obvious what I should do next? I can't see it, but... 2 in this box is placed because it can't be there in the 3rd cell of a thermo. 2 is too high for that. So it must be there. Then 2 is in one of these positions in column 1. Now, I don't know which of those it is in, but whichever it's in, this digit is 1 or 2, because if 2's there, this is a 1, and if 2's here, it's a 2. Obviously, I've got 5, 6, 7, 8 to place in this box. 3, that one can't be 8, and that one can't be 5. I've got 4 to place in this row. That's not doing anything desperately special. 2, 4, 1, 3, 7. Oh, I can take 7 out of those cells. I'm just faffing around trying to do pencil marking now. That can't be 7 as well in this box, the 3, 7 pair. I'm wondering about this cage. What am I not getting at? Okay, where does that digit go in the cage? Well, there's a sort of law of leftovers things. Those 3 being the sort of leftovers in box 5, box 6, after you've counted those 5 cells, must be the same as in the cage, where those 3 are left over in the cage. It's an 8-cell cage. That we could easily have been told the total of 36, and it wouldn't have changed that we know the contents are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I don't know. I'm not really getting on at the moment, so I need to do a bit of thinking. One of those 2's a 4. Let's pencil mark that. 2, 1, 3, 7. So we've got 4, 5, 6, and 8 still to place in this box. Now, these are all quite high. Where are we going to fit 1, 2, and 3? We know 2's down here somewhere. Can that be 3? That would be 2. That would force this to be the 1 in the bottom row. And then the 3 would be on the white dot with 4, I believe, because of the white dot requirement. So what I'm postulating is if 3 was here, this digit would have to be 2, that would have to be 1, and the 3 in the bottom row with 3 there would now have to be on this white dot along with 4. So 3 would be there, 4 would be here. I'm just trying to work out if anything has become impossible as a result of that. I can't see that anything has, so I'm barking up the wrong tree. 2 in the top row is on this thermo. It can't be in that cell because of this 2. It can't be in either of those cells because they're too high along the thermo. So it's in the bulb, and that resolves the 1 X-wing. They're in those corners, the north, west, and the southeast. That means this digit is a 2 because we restricted it to 1 or 2 earlier. It doesn't tell me anything about 3 in the first column that I was looking at, but it gets me some 1s and 2s done. Right, one of these 2 is a 2. No, that is 2 in box 6. That is 2 in box 8, and we've done all the 2s in the puzzle. Where is the 1 in this box? It's got to be here. That's going to finish off all the 1s in the puzzle. There they go, falling like flies. Now, is it the cage or something else that we should be doing next? Probably something else. 1, 2. I'm just getting absolutely fixated on where does that digit go in the cage. Doesn't help. It's not an interesting point at all. 3 in the bottom row is either there, I mean it's the next digit along one of these thermos. Oh, that's interesting. That becomes a sort of X-wing in a way. 3 is in one of those cells, because in row 1 and row 8 it's the next digit along one of the thermos. That's an X-wing. It's also an X-wing in the columns now. The next 3 in each of column 1 and column 8 is going to be the next one along a thermo. So we've got 3s forming some sort of dance of being pushed around the grid in the perimeter. It's either that foursome or that foursome. And that's going to mean none of these digits can contain a 3. Well, that's quite interesting. If none of those can contain a 3, and we've sort of found them in the perimeter cells, then there's a 3 in one of those 2 in box 4. And that is the only place for 3 in box 6. And that sorts out the 3 in the cage here. This can't be a 7 anymore. I was going to say there must be a 7 on one of these thermos. That is not a valid deduction. Don't say that, Mark. But there isn't a 7 on this thermo. So there must be a 7 on this thermo in one of these 2 cells. And those digits now can't have a 7. It was these that couldn't be 3, wasn't it? Oh, that's now 3. Right, that was good progress. So I'm going to take out the yellow. It did its sort of job for me. Just give me one moment to sort something out, and I'll be back. Right, thank you. Now, we had 3s we were looking at, and I've probably done as much as I can for now. Well, this is interesting. If that's a 3, this is a 4. That makes that a 4. No, I was going to say we've got a problem with 4 in box 6, but actually we haven't. We get a 4 in one of those cells and a 4 there. Oh, that doesn't work, but it's quite complicated. So what I was saying is if that's a 3, that, because of the white dot, oh no, it's very neatly done actually, if I look at this the right way. If that's the 3 on the white dot, that's a 4 by the white dot rule. And then, where can you put 4 in this column? Because the 3, this 3 would force that not to be a 3 and would force that to be a 3. This can't be a 4 by Sudoku. That couldn't be a 4 because this was a 4 in the same box. And that couldn't be a 4 because this couldn't be a 3. So that's really neat. This can't be a 3 because of this 4 problem. So that's going to be a 3. And now we can place the 3s that push each other around the grid and get rid of the other pencil marks. And that's good progress. That's all the 3s just done. Next question. Yes, this can't be 4 anymore. Now that's going to be important. This can't be 4 because that couldn't be filled. We've got the 3 there. So if that can't be 4, then the 4 in this column has to be here. I was going to say there has to be a 4 in one of those cells. But no, but this is just as good, because ruling 4 out of there is done by placing a 4 there. Now there must be a 4 on this white dot, and it can't be here because nothing could go before it, so it's here. Going with a 5. That didn't sort out these. Never mind. We're going to place... Well, 4 is now in one of those cells in box 6, and therefore not here, and we can place it in box 5. We've got 3 of the 4s over here. One of those 2 digits is a 4. One of those 2 is a 4. Oh, that's... Okay, so is there... No, there isn't only one place for 4 in this column. Oh. 4 being there, though, forces 4 in the cage to be here, because that foresees all of these cells. So 4 in the cage goes there, and that is going to sort out those 4s that we just pencil marked. And there's one 4 left to place in the puzzle, and there it is on the thermo. Right, this is 5, 6, or 7 because it's less than this. Now, what about these cells? They're 5, 6, 7, 8. This one, actually neither of those can be a 5, but these can't be a 5. So the 5 in the cage is in one of those 2 cells, and these can't have a 5 on. That is now 6 or 7, and this can't be 6. It must be 8. That's the first 8 we've got in the puzzle. That's going to give us 6, 5, 8 in that box. This thermo must finish with 7, 8 now. And I think we're suddenly closing in. This is 5 or 6. This is 6 or 7. The only place for 5 in the final column is there. That looks across here. That's an 8. This is 6 or 7. This in the row is 5. This is, we've got a lot of 6, 7 pairs left over. We'll deal with them in a moment. 7 and 8 in this column. What about this column? We've had that pencil mark for ages, but it hasn't quite finished off yet. This digit is 6 or 7. There's another of my 6 or 7s. 5, 6 or 7. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Let's go back to this cage. 8 is in one of those 2 cells because it must appear in the cage. So that becomes a 7. That's 6, 8, 5. Oh, this thermo was absolutely minimal. This is a 6, 8 pair in the cage, so that's 7, that's 6. I'm going to get all my 6, 7s sorted out now. That's a 7. 5 and 8 at the top. This can't be a 5, actually, because that can't be lower. So 8 there, 5 there. That's become 8. 6 has come out of those. This is a 6. This is 5 or 7. It's 7 according to the bottom row. And now we are finishing the last few cells. We're going to finish in the cage with an 8 and a 6. And that really isn't too hard. I mean, it's not absolutely trivial. Both of these inner thermos were absolute minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. And it's a lovely puzzle. A dot of killer heat from Chip Sounder, and in commemoration of his father, Bert. Lovely stuff, Chip. Thank you so much for sending that. And I'm glad we were able to do it on your special day. My holiday ended just in time for that to be possible. Thank you guys for watching us. At least I'm not getting thrown out of my hotel room early like I was in the crossword video. And we will see you soon. Bye for now.